Hi, welcome to my video on solving trig equations with the angle as b times theta minus h, and this is part 1, solving these trigonometric equations. Solve for all possible values of theta in degrees. Number 1, sine 2 times theta plus 60 equals a half. Notice the angle now is just not theta, is b is 2 and h is negative 60. So what we'll do is we'll let 2 times theta plus 60 equal a. So we have the sine of a is a half. The reason we do that is just not to make it confusing at the beginning. So the sine of a is a half. So because it's positive, the sine of 30 degrees, so the reference angle is 30. And if you draw the right triangle of 30, 60, 90, opposite 30 is a half, opposite 60 is root 3 over 2, hypotenuse 1. Sine is opposite, so the angle is 30. And as a result, the sign is positive, so I do add sugar to coffee. Rather than do the cash rule, I do add sugar to coffee. Starts in quadrant 1. All sine, tan, cos are positive, so sine is positive, which is in quadrants 1 and 2. Or you treat sine as the y, and y is positive upward, 1 and 2. So we have, draw the two different quadrants. So we got quadrant 1, terminal arm, quadrant 2, terminal arm. The reference angle is 30, so the reference angle is between the terminal arm and the x-axis. And between the terminal arm and the x-axis is the reference angle. The rotation is, so we have A to be 30 degrees, because that's 30, and A here, this is the rotation from the initial arm to the terminal arm, so that rotation is 180 minus the reference angle, so A is 150. Now we have the two angles. Now we have to find all of them. To find all of them, we replace A is 2 times theta plus 60 degrees equals 30. But not only do we let it equal 30, we also know that for sine, the period is 360, and we're in degrees, so it's 360 n, where n belongs to the integers. And we'll work this one out, and then we'll work one out for 150, following the same pattern. So what I do is I go 2 times theta plus 120 equals 30 degrees plus 360 n, where n belongs to the integers, and I bring the 120 over, so 2 theta equals 30 minus 120 plus 360 n. N belongs to the integers, so 2 theta equals a negative 90 degrees, and just complete the other part. There it is, and we divide by 2. Now notice I moved 120 over here. Now when I divide by 2, I have to divide by 2. I make that a 45, and the period is 180. So that's all the values when the angle is 30. Now we work it out when the angle is 150. So we go same steps again, only this time we have 150 there. So it's just a matter of going through these same steps. So multiply by 2. Just copying all this down again. And we moved 120 over to make it a negative. And now we do 2 theta is 30. And divide by 2, theta, 30 divided by 2 is 15. And 360 divided by 2 is 180. Notice that in this equation, b is 2, so the period would be 360 divided by 2. So now the period for this one, that's why when we divide by 2, we get 180 in, 180 in. So that's all the values in degrees for this equation. So if you let n be 0, you get a negative 45. You let n be 1, you get 180 minus 45. You get n to be 2, you get 360 minus 45. They keep on going. You get n to be negative 1, you get a negative 180 minus 45. So n is like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 on to infinity, or negative 1, negative 2, negative 3 to infinity for each one of these. Okay, that's one example. Solve for all values of theta in degrees. So we have another one to do just for extra practice. So we let 1/3 theta minus 60 equal a. So the equation, we got cos, we make that an a, is negative root 2 over 2. That's an a there. And so we have cos. Notice cos is negative, so we'll do cos of the reference angle. Now why we do so we make the fraction positive, root 2 over 2. So when we make the fraction positive, we'll find the reference angle. So the reference angle is 45 degrees, because root 2 over 2 is 45, root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2, 1. So the cos of 45 is root 2 over 2. And what quadrant? Add sugar to coffee. And cos is negative. Cos is positive in 1 and 4. So it's negative in 2 and 3. So we'll draw it in quadrant 2. We draw it in quadrant 3. So quadrant 2, terminal arm is 45. So that's the rotation. So A is 180 minus 45. So A is 135 degrees. And we have the quadrant 3. So we draw terminal arm out in quadrant 3. Put the reference angle of 45 in. Rotation is all the way around from the initial arm here to the terminal arm. So A is third quadrant, 180 plus the 45 reference angle. So it's a 225. So A has two values. So we let the 1/3 theta minus 60 is equal to 135 plus, again, the period for cos normal is 360 n, where n belongs to the integers. So we take our time and work that down. 1/3 times theta. 1/3 of 60 is 20. And just write the rest of this out. And we move the 20 over. Make it a positive. And you see the pattern that I've developed, and that's 155. And now we got a 1/3, so I'm going to multiply everything by 3. 3 times 1/3 is theta. 3 times 155 is 465 degrees. 3 times 360 is 1,080. And we have, for this angle here at 45, these are all the angles that fit. And now we have to do 1/3 theta minus 60, and the angle is 225. Again, very nice pattern. Oh, that's a 1/3 there, so 1/3 times theta, 1/3 of 60 is 20. And you can see that very mechanical once you get used to it. 1/3. Add, bring the minus 20 over, make it plus 20. So we have 1/3. That's 245. And multiply by 3. 3 times 1/3 is 1. 3 times 247 is 735. 3 times 360 is 1,080. And again, these are all the angles that make this equation true. Again, if you put 0 in, you get 465. If you put 1 in, you get 1,080. Add on 465. You put a negative 1 in and get a negative 1,080. Add on 465. So n is the integers. And the same here. You get all the angles. So that's all the possible values of theta that make this equation true. And this goes to infinity, so this represents all the values, both of these answers. And now we have solve for all values of theta in radians in terms of pi. So we still let the angle equal a. So we have sine a is -1. And on the unit circle, sine is the y. So the y is 0, -1. The y is -1. So that's at. So a, what I do is I convert to angles first. So that's from here to here is 270. And 270 multiplied by pi over 180. The zeros cancel. 9 is a 2, 9 is a 3. So in terms of a radiant is 3 pi over 2. Notice pi over 2 is 180 divided by 2 is 90. 3 times 90 is 270. So the answer is, we have a, so we'll let 4 times theta plus pi over 3 equal, there's only one, is 3 pi over 2. And again, sine got a 360 degree period, but since it's in terms of radians, so 360 degrees is 2 pi n. So instead of 360 n in degrees is 2 pi n in terms of radians. So we take our time and multiply by 4. 4 times pi over 3 is 4 pi over 3. So again, write the rest of it out, just takes time. And we bring 3 pi over 2 minus 4 pi over 3. And we're going to need a common denominator, so 4 theta. Common denominator for 2 and 3 is 6. So 2 into 6 goes 3. 3 times 3 is 9 pi. 6 is a common denominator. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8 pi. And finish writing the rest of it down. 4 theta equals, that's a 6 denominator, 9 minus 8 is 1, so it's a pi over 6. Now, rather than, so I'm going to divide by 4. So if I divide by 4, so pi over 6 divided by 4, so that's 4 over 1, so that's pi over 6 times 1 over 4, so that gives me pi over 24. Divide by 4 here, and I get pi over 2. And that's the answer. So all angles that put n in, again, if n is 0, you get a pi over 24. And if you put pi over 24 back in the equation here and work it out, you will get a negative 1. If you put 1 here, you get pi over 24, add on pi over 2. So that's 12 over 24, which is 13 pi over 24. Plug that in and work it out, you get a negative 1. And put a negative 1 in, etc. So there's infinite number of answers. So that's working out the equation. I decided to work out from find all possible values first, and then the next couple of videos will be on restrictions on that, and I'll show you how to work that out. And if you like my video, click on the like button. If you're not a subscriber, click on the subscribe button if you wish. Visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. And that's all the content that I have on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Hope the video helped you. Bye-bye.